Welcome to my today's lecture on the topic of pre-formulation studies. From the name pre-formulation, it is clear that the test done before making a formulation of a particular drug are pre-formulation studies. There are no specific definition for the term pre-formulation. Pre-formulation research is the necessary step that takes place between the drug discovery and the clinical development. It is the branch of pharmaceutical sciences that utilize the pharmaceutical principle in the determination of phytochemical properties of the physicochemical properties of the drug substances. Pre-formulation can therefore be described as the steps that deals with the acquisitions of data on the drug compound and its excipients, which are then analyzed or processed into information, that is properties and tendencies, and ultimately transformed into knowledge in the form of a recommended formulation. There are some goals and objectives of pre-formulation studies. It helps to gather information to design and develop an optimum drug delivery system, to establish the necessary physicochemical parameters of the new drugs, to establish the compatibility of the drug with common excipients, to determine kinetic rate profiles, to establish physical character of the drug. There are some advantages of pre-formulation studies. It gives direction for development of formulations in choice of dosage form, excipients, compositions, and physical structures. It helps in adjustment of pharmacokinetic and biopharmaceutical properties. It support for process development of drug substances. It produces necessary and useful data for development of analytical methods. This is the pre-formulation test tree. Pre-formulation is of four types: physical study, chemical study, pharmaceutical study, and analytical study. Under physical study, there are many parameters, that is bulk characteristics, stability analysis, solubility analysis, and many more parameters are there. Under chemical study, oxidation, hydrolysis, photolysis, and many more parameters are there. Now, the scheme of study. Receive a new drug substances. If all available informations are obtained, then go for determinations of physical property of the new active pharmaceutical ingredient, then go for macroscopic and microscopic estimation, then go for determinations of polymers, solvates, and hydrates, then determine their solubility, partition coefficient, pK values, dissolution rate, etc. Then go for stability testings at normal and elevated temperature. Then select most available and stable active form for bioavailability testing. If the bioavailability is satisfactory, then check lot to lot uniformity. Check API stability with excipients, then prepare worksheet and final pre-formulation report and issue to product development department. If poor bioavailability test results due to solubility, pK, log p value, etc., make new salts and esters. Then go for determinations of physical property, then macroscopic microscopic character, then determine its polymorphs, solvents, hydrates, and then determine solubility, partition coefficient, pK value, dissolution rate, then stability testing. And in this way, if of all available information of the received drug are not there, then sufficient literature research should be done. Physical properties under preformulations. Bulk properties, then solubility characteristics, then stability studies. Under bulk properties, there are many parameters like particle size and surface area, flow properties and bulk density, crystallinity and polymorphism, hygroscopicity, drug excipient compactability, electrostatic charge, osmolarity, rheology, and weightability. Under solubility analysis, there are aqueous solubility, which is of intrinsic type and ionization constant type. Then solubilization, partition coefficient, thermal effect, common ion effect, and dissolution. Stability analysis consisting of solid state stability and solution state stability. Now the particle size and surface area. Size, shape, and surface morphology of drug particles affect the flow property, dissolution, and chemical reactivity of the drug. Significance of particle size. Particle size of drug may affect formulations and product efficacy. Certain physical and chemical properties of the drug substances are affected by the particle size distribution, including drug dissolution rate, content uniformity, texture, stability, flow characteristics, and sedimentation rates. Particle size significantly influences the oral absorption profile of certain drugs. Satisfactory content uniformity of solid dosage form depends on a large degree of particle size and the equal distribution of the active ingredient throughout the formulation. Particle size is characterized using these terms like very coarse powder, moderately coarse powder, fine powder, and very fine powder. Particle size can influence variety of importance factors like dissolution rate, suspendability, uniform distribution of particles, penetrability, lack of grittiness. There are few methods to determine particle size like sieving, microscopy, sedimentation rate method, light energy diffraction method, laser holography method, and cascade impaction. In sieving method, the particle size ranges is 50 to 150 micrometer. It is simple and inexpensive process. If powder is not dry, the apparatus get clogged. In microscopical technique, particles of 0.2 to 100 micrometer can be determined. Particle size can be determined by the use of calibrated grid background. It is the most direct method. It is slow but tedious method. Sedimentation method. In this method, particle size ranging from 1 to 200 micrometer can be determined. Anderson pipette is used for this purpose. Then cascade impaction method. The principle that a particle driven by an airstream will hit a surface in its path, provided that its inertia is sufficient to overcome the drag force that tend to keep in it in airstream. Light energy diffraction. In this method, particle size ranging from 0.5 to 500 micrometer are determined. Particle size is determined by the reductions in light reaching the sensor as the particle dispersed in a liquid or gas passes through the sensing zone. It is a quick and fast process. Laser holography. In this method, particle size ranging from 1.4 to 100 micrometer can be determined. A pulsed laser is fired through an aerosolized particle spray and photographed in 3D with holographic camera, allowing the particles to be individually imaged and sized. Bulk density and flow properties. Bulk density can be determined by using the formula bulk density equals to mass divided by bulk volume. Bulk density of a compound varies with the method of crystallization, milling, or formulation. Importance of bulk density. Knowledge of the true and bulk densities of the drug substances is useful in forming idea about the size of the final dosage form. The density of solid also affect their flow properties. Powder flow properties. Powder flow properties are significantly affected by changing in particle size, density, shape, and adsorbed moisture, which may arise from processing or formulation. The powder flow properties can be characterized by the following methods like angle of repose, compressibility index, and Hausner ratio. Angle of repose, it is the maximum angle between the surface of a pile of powder and horizontal plane. Tan theta equals to h by r, where theta is the angle of repose and h is the height of the pile of powder, r is the radius of the pile of powder, that is base of the pile of powder. The rougher and more irregular the surface of the particles, the higher will be the angle of repose. Lower values indicates better flow characteristics. The acceptance criteria are given below. If the angle of repose is less than 20 degree, excellent flow property is there. If it is 20 to 30 degree, then good flow. If it is 30 to 34 degree, then powder flow is possible. If it is more than 40 degree, then poor flow of powder is obtained. Cart's index, it is also known as compressibility index. Cart's index can be determined as percentage by using formula 100 into tap density minus bulk density divided by tap density. By decreasing the bulk and tap density, good flow properties can be obtained. This is the limit of Cart's index or compressibility index. When Cart's index is in the range of 5 to 15, then excellent flow is obtained. If it is 12 to 16, then good flow. If it is 18 to 20 degree 20%, then fair to possible. If it is 23 to 35%, then poor flow. If it is 33 to 38%, then poor very poor flow. If it is more than 40%, then extremely poor flow is obtained. Hausner ratio, it is calculated by the formula that is tap density divided by bulk density. So it can be defined as the ratio of tap density and bulk density. The acceptable limits are less than, if it is less than 1.25, then good flow of powder is there. If it is more than 1.5, poor flow of powder is there. In between 1.25 to 1.5, Glidant addition is required. If the Hausner ratio is more than 1.5, then Glidant does not improve the flow characteristics of the powder. Next parameter is crystallinity and polymorphism. Solid drug may exist in the nature in two forms, that is amorphous form and crystalline form. This property has great importance to its age of formulations and handling, its chemical stability, as well as its biological activity. Amorphous drug. Amorphous drugs have randomly arranged atoms and molecules. Amorphous forms are typically prepared by precipitation method, lyophilization method, or rapid cooling method. There are few advantages of amorphous drug. Amorphous forms have higher solubilities as well as a dissolution rate as compared to crystalline forms. Few advantages are there. Upon storage, sometimes amorphous solid tend to revert to less stable forms. This instability can occur during bulk processing or within dosage form. Example is amorphous form of novobiosine. Crystalline drug. Crystals are characterized by repetitious spacing of constituent atom or molecules in a 3D array. Crystalline forms of drugs may be used because of greater stability than the corresponding amorphous form. For example, the crystalline form of penicillin G in the form of potassium or sodium salt is considerably more stable and results in excellent therapeutic response than amorphous form. Polymorphism. This is the ability of a compound to crystallize as more than one distinct crystalline species with different internal lattice or crystal packing arrangement, even they are chemically identical depending on the variation in temperature, solvent and time. Significance of polymorphism. Different polymorphs exhibits different solubility, therapeutic activity and stability. Chemical stabilities and solubility changes due to polymorphism can have an impact on drugs activity. Next parameter is hygroscopicity. Many drugs, particularly water-soluble salts, have a tendency to absorb moisture from the atmosphere. Changes in moisture level can greatly influence many parameters such as chemical stability, flowability, and compatibility. Adsorption and equilibrium of moisture content can depend upon atmospheric humidity, temperature, surface area, exposure, and the mechanism of moisture uptake. Hygroscopic substances. It adsorbs water because of hydrate formation and specific site adsorption. Deliquescent materials adsorb sufficient water to dissolve completely. Analytical method for monitoring the moisture level are gravimetric method, Karl-Fischer titration, gas chromatography, etc. Thermal analysis, differential scanning calorimetry and differential thermal analysis, that is DSC and DTA are done in this process. It measures the heat loss or gain resulting from physical or chemical changes within a sample as function of temperature. Then next parameter is thermogravimetric analysis, that is TGA. It measures changes in sample weight as a function of time, that is isothermal or temperature. Desolvation and decomposition processes are frequently monitored by TGA. Applications are purity, polymorphism, solvation, degradation, and excipient compatibility. Thermal analysis can be used to investigate and predict any physicochemical interactions between compounds in the formulation. It is used for selections of chemically compatible excipients. Next parameter is X-ray diffraction. It is an important technique for establishing the batch-to-batch reproducibility of a crystalline form. Each diffraction pattern is characteristic of a specific crystalline lattice for a given compound. Application: quantitative ratios of two polymorphs and their percentage of crystallinity may be determined. Mixture of different crystalline forms can be analyzed using normalized intensities at specific angles, which are unique for each crystalline form. Next parameter is surface morphology. It is observed by scanning electron microscopy, that is SEM, which serves to confirm the physical observations related to surface area. Surface morphology of drug can provide greater area of various surface reactions such as degradation, dissolution, and hygroscopicity. Surface roughness leads to poor powder flow, characteristics of powders due to frictions and cohesiveness. Next parameter is solubility. The solubility of a drug is an important physicochemical property because it affects the rate of drug release into the dissolution medium and consequently the therapeutic efficacy of the pharmaceutical product. The solubility of a material is usually determined by the equilibrium solubility method, which employs a saturated solution of the material obtained by stirring an excess of material in the solvent for a prolonged period until equilibrium is achieved. General rules: polar solute dissolve in polar solvents and non-polar solutes dissolve in a non-polar solvent. Common solvents used for solubility determinations are polyethylene glycol, propylene glycol, glycerol, sorbitol, ethanol, methanol, benzyl alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, sesame oil, buffer at various pH, castor oil, peanut oil, span and twin, etc. These are the few terms indicating the solubility. Very soluble means one part of solute is soluble in less than one part of solvent. Freely soluble means one part of solute is soluble in 1 to 10 parts of solvent. Similarly, one part of solute is dissolved in 10 to 30 parts of solvent, then it is soluble. In case of sparingly soluble, one part of solute is dissolved in 30 to 100 parts of solvent. In case of slightly soluble, one part of solute is dissolved in 100 to 1000 parts of solvent. In case of very slightly soluble, one part of solute is dissolved in 1000 to 10,000 parts of solvent. In case of poorly soluble or practically insoluble, one part of solute is dissolved in more than 10,000 parts of solvent. Next is intrinsic solubility. There are two formulas: S equals to S0 into 1 plus K1 divided by H plus. It is for weak acid, and S equals to S0 into 1 plus H plus divided by K2 for weak bases, where S is the solubility at a given pH, S0 is the intrinsic solubility of the neutral form, K1 is the dissociation constant for weak acid. Similarly, K2 is the dissociation constant for weak bases. The intrinsic solubility should ideally be measured at two temperatures, at 4 degrees Celsius and at 37 degrees Celsius. Then there are few methods of determining solubility, which are equilibrium solubility method, turbidimetric solubility method, nephelometric solubility method, ultrafiltration, liquid chromatography, and mass spectroscopy solubility method, and direct solubility method. Next parameter is ionization constant, that is pK value. It is seen that about 75% of all drugs are weak bases, and about 20% of weak acids 20% are weak acids, and only 5% are non-ionic, amphoteric, or alcohol in nature. Henderson-Hasselbalch equation expressed or states that pH equals to pK plus log ionized form divided by unionized form. It is for acidic drug, and pH equals to pK plus log unionized form divided by ionized form. This is applicable for basic drug. Now, uses of Henderson-Hasselbalch equations. It is used to determine pK value. It is used to predict solubility at any pH. It is used to facilitate the selections of suitable salt forming compound, and it is used to predict the solubility and pH properties of the salt. Methods of determinations of pK value. There are few methods like potentiometric method, conductivity method, dissolution rate method, liquid-liquid partition method, and spectrophotometric method. Next parameter is partition coefficient. It is defined as the ratio of unionized drug distributed between the organic and aqueous phases at equilibrium. If the partition coefficient value is more than 1, then it indicates the lipophilic drug. If partition coefficient is less than 1, then it indicates the hydrophilic drug. Partition coefficient equals to concentration of the drug in the organic phase divided by concentration of the drug in aqueous phase, and it is applicable for unionizable drug. Again, partition coefficient equals to concentration of the drug in the organic phase divided by 1 minus alpha into concentration of the drug in aqueous phase. It is applicable for ionizable drugs, where alpha is the degree of ionization. Now methods to determine the partition coefficient value and its application. Methods are Sek flask method, chromatographic method, that is thin layer chromatography, high performance liquid chromatography, etc. Then counter current and filter probe methods are applicable. Now application of partition coefficient. It measures the lipophilic character of the molecules, recovery of antibiotics from the fermentation broth, helps for the extractions of drugs from the biological fluid, absorptions of the drug from the dosage form, and study of distributions of flavoring oil between oil and water in emulsion. Next parameter is stability study. Preformulation stability studies are usually the first quantitative assessment of chemical stability of a new drug. The studies include both solution and solid state experiments under condition typical for the handling, formulation, storage, and administration of drug candidate, as well as stability in presence of other excipients. Factors affecting chemical stability critical in rational dosage form design include temperature, pH, and dosage form diluents. The effect of pH on drug stability is important in the development of both oral and parenteral dosage form. Buffer selection for parenteral dosage form will also be largely based on the stability characteristics of the drug. This is the end of the lecture. This lecture mainly describes the physical properties under preformulation study. That is, it is the part 1 of preformulation study. In the next lecture, we will describe about the chemical properties of preformulation studies. Thank you.